Hey everybody, it's Melissa Lee. I wanted to wish everybody a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. I hope everyone has some good plans. I honestly do not, other than continuing to pack and get ready for my upcoming move next month. Looking forward to that. I'm not looking forward to packing. In any case, I am going to try to get out tonight and tomorrow. We'll see what else. I love being out. And there's a couple of things I wanted to talk about for other girls who are not out yet or goes out in public, or maybe they're early in their transition and they're afraid to go out in public. I mean, I've been out for several months now. I've never had a bad experience. Knock on wood. I know it's coming and I will be honest, it bothers me to know that it will probably come. I hope it's not too severe. I'm pretty sure I can handle myself. And because I've been dealing with people when I do my live streams online on Kick, I get a lot of haters in there, and I've learned to hone my response skills. So we'll see how that goes. But otherwise, I've had some great responses from people. People come up and just start chatting. They're very pleasant towards us. They don't misgender us. By us, I mean my friend Andrea. And I'm thoroughly enjoying it so far. Now, I'm waiting for the day when somebody's inappropriate or somebody comes up and starts hitting on me. Because the one thing, and I've had long conversations with Andrea and some of my other friends about this, is growing up and mostly living as my male self through my life. I'm not gay. I've only ever been with women. And I'm not really attracted to guys. Now, guys come up and start talking or paying attention or whatever. Hey, what girl doesn't like that? But if they're expecting anything else, they're in for a rude surprise. And what's weird is I've heard stories. I do follow a lot of other girls who are actually going through the medical transition. I have yet to start medical transitioning. I was dealt a major setback this year because of losing my job and my medical insurance, and then now trying to sell this house and get settled. I have to put it off a little bit, but I am hoping to start this summer. As soon as I move, I'm finding an endocrinologist because I'll have a little extra money from this house sale that I want to get my blood work done and I want to get the ball rolling on this. Now, I've mentioned before, I have kind of started a little bit of medical transitioning with the herbal supplements I've been taking, and I've advertised Puraria Mirifica. Um, and in 9 months, it's done wonders. Um, Still not enough, really, for me to just only use that when I go out in public. I enhance here a little bit. Uh, but hopefully, between that and HRT, I'll see some better results. And one day I may get top surgery. I'm going to take everything a step at a time. Now, watching some of these other girls in their transition videos, or even on my Facebook page and different groups I follow, some some girls mention the fact that when they start HRT, they start actually being attracted to guys. Now, I think that they'd have to be attracted to them to begin with, maybe not admitting it so much to themselves before HRT, because I don't think hormones will ever change who you're attracted to. But there's a lot of things with hormones I'm looking forward to. And I understand at my age, I can't expect miracles. And that leads me into another topic. There's a friend of mine online, and I'm going to be honest, it's an acquaintance. Friended one day. I've been following her for a while. I think she's gorgeous. And she is her gender dysphoria is the worst I've ever seen. She hates herself. Everyone tries to tell her she looks beautiful. And then she complains, well, it's not real. It's all padding, and HRT isn't doing anything for me. And I get upset when I see other girls because I want to look like that. And I can't, and I'm stuck in this body. Well, you know what? It's all valid points. But she hates herself so bad. She talks about not being here anymore. And it's pretty serious talk. It's not just depression. And I worry about her. I tried to reach out to her once and I kind of got smacked down. I said, okay, you can't help somebody unless they're willing to accept help. And everyone who tries to encourage her, she doesn't want to hear it because she hates herself so much. It made me think of my own situation. I've watched transition videos of other girls who transitioned in their 20s or early 20s or into their 30s. And they show a progress video on YouTube. You see lots of them, whether they've been on HRT for a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. And you see the physical changes. And I'm sitting there going, how did they get that way? Especially some of them used to be very burly guys. And not only did they lose the weight, they lost the manly muscle mass, upper body, got very feminine looking bodies. And I'm going, how in the hell do you do that? Because hormones, I heard, puts on weight. I know it does some redistribution, but a lot of also those changes happen when people are young. The body kind of stops developing around 25. The people who could start before that have an advantage because their changes could be more dramatic. And I've admitted this before, I'm older. I just turned 60 this year. Now, I don't look it. I'm very happy with my looks overall. I think I got lucky in that department. I've always had natural feminine looks. I've never been fully built up. I never got into manly things. I was working out for a couple of years, losing weight, getting fit, in shape, and I started to get a real guy's body there for a while. My trainer was really working to build muscle in the upper body. Well, I stopped going to that trainer well over a year ago. A, because I couldn't afford him, but B, I didn't want to go down that path anymore. Now, C, I was dealing with depression after my wife passed away, all the changes that were going on in my life. And even when Millie came out, that made me start to reevaluate everything. And I had my good and bad days. A lot of it, the bad days were grief inspired. And you know what? I still get them once in a while. And now, especially that I'm selling this house that my wife and I bought together. She decorated it, not me, but she had good expensive taste. And I sold the house, and the buyers are taking all the furniture too. We worked out a deal. And I'm still getting a lot for this house, which is good because since I've been out of work and I'm having such a hard time getting a job, if I can't get a job, I'm going to start being a little more entrepreneurial. I want to get back into doing my readings again. And yes, I do tarot readings. I've even done some healings. Now, that might sound really woo-woo, new agey BS to a lot of people, and that's fine. People who are religious don't want to hear it. That's fine. Uh, I believe a lot of it is based on intuition, and but there's other aspects to it that I'm a very spiritual person. I want to be able to share that. And if I can start my own business with it, not that I'm looking to take people for money. I know there's so many of these fake psychics out there that rate people for money and rake them over the coals. And that's not going to be me. I'll do some other things too on the side too. But I don't want to live off of expecting people to pay me. Now, I used to actually be 100% against accepting money for doing readings or healings or anything, uh, because I felt like this should be shared and you give without expecting to give back. But then, as some of my training that I've had and things go on, I've understood that there is an exchange of energy that needs to happen between you and the other person. So I'm not so adverse to it anymore. I keep my prices very reasonable. But if somebody seeks me out and they go, I want to schedule a reading, they're asking for a service. So I'll do it. I'll do lots of things for free for people. I've offered to give readings to friends and whatnot. But if somebody seeks me out for a service, I'll perform that service, and there needs to be some kind of exchange. Uh, like I said, I keep my prices reasonable. But if somebody can't afford it, we'll work something else out. Getting back to my friend who is very down on herself and hates her body. I'm not thrilled with mine either. Okay, I need to lose a lot of weight. I gained a lot of weight this last year by being totally horrible and not taking care of myself. And I just want to get rid of the weight and slim down, and hopefully by then when I start HRT, it starts redistributing things so that I get a more feminine shape. My upper body isn't going to change. Um, Transitioning so late in life, and I'd like to hear from other transgender and transsexual people who did transition in their late 50s, 60s, even 70s. And what did they experience? Send me a message, comment down below. I'd like to hear your stories. I'm not expecting miracles. I can go out in public and pass pretty good. Most people either don't clock me, or if they do, they're still being respectful. Now, I know the other girls, including this one that I'm mentioning, lives in a state and an area where all she deals with is discrimination, people dead naming her or just harassing her for a lot of different reasons. And there's a few friends of mine on Facebook that have to deal with that. Like I said, knock on wood, I'm lucky in that regard. I'm lucky in that even though I have a lot to change in my body, I still can go unnoticed. And if I get noticed, I always hope it's in the right way. I've had friends of my friend Andrea tell her they've seen my picture, they met me and they thought I was cis. Which again, I hate that word. I only say it just because it's easier because most of the trans community are my followers, trans and CD. Women are women. And I've gone down that route before talking about it. I'm not going to rehash it. So I feel good going out, but I know, like I said, the day is coming. I'm going to encounter it. Could be tonight. I'm not putting that out in the universe. No, I want positive experiences always. Uh, but as a boss of mine once said, yeah, and people in hell want ice water too. You can't control life. Speaking of that, I just remember going through a lot of introspection during this house sale. The other night, I couldn't sleep at all. I was up all night, didn't fall asleep till 5, got only a couple hours of sleep. And I don't even necessarily call it praying. I do a lot of talking out loud to whoever's listening. God, my guides, maybe even my wife, which I doubt her. I think she's off doing whatever the hell she needs to do. Same with my twin brother. But I do believe that there are people there for me. I don't understand who they are. So I'll still talk out loud and I'll talk to them and I ask these questions. Why did it take so long for me to get here? Why did it take me until my absolute late 50s to not only break down that wall of self denial that I've had for decades, but also fully understand the fact that I'm transgender, moving towards being transsexual. And by transsexual, I mean medically transitioning. And I don't know. I question it. Why now? Why? I don't know. I think part of it is I had been trying to please everybody else in my life, doing what everybody else wanted while denying myself. And I denied living my own life and standing up for myself almost all my life. So I was always living for somebody else. And now I'm in a position where I don't have to live for anybody else. I have to live for me now. I've only got, if I'm lucky, barring any illnesses, accidents, or nuclear war, I've got 20, 30 more years ahead of me. I don't want to go farther than that. Um, so I'll still have some time, but it's just a fraction of my life. Even though like I said before, I've felt this since I was as young enough to fully realize something was wrong with me. It's about 6 years old. Could have been earlier. And I was always too afraid. I mean, I was never overly feminine, never played with girls' toys. You know why? Because I was embarrassed. I wouldn't do anything because I was embarrassed and started to feel guilty. I remember in junior high, I was in drama and I was in a play and I got cast in the lead. Now, nobody taught me, but we had to use makeup. And even though I was in a guy role, stage makeup and whatnot, I didn't know how to do it and it freaked me out. It freaked me out and I was so self-conscious about putting on the makeup. because of my gender dysphoria and feeling the guilt and still being confused by the whole damn thing. I mean, this is middle school, so I was like 14, 15, and I didn't know how to handle it. I eventually put on the bass and whatnot for the stage, but again, it freaked me out. And it was within this time period I had started experimenting a little bit with dressing, raiding my mother's closet and drawers. And yet, but then I stopped it for, oh my God, over 20 years till I moved to New Jersey. And then the person I was with for a brief period of time, thank God it was brief, um, was open to this because I decided to tell him right off the bat, this is who I am. I've been suppressing it for so many years. Playing around on America Online, that tells you how long ago, and starting to learn more, but I had never done anything about it. So I started dressing a little bit, and this is about 25 years ago. And I dressed for about 3 years. And looking back at that time, well, first of all, I looked horrible. Didn't know what I was doing. Even my partner, I have to admit, she was a wife, but I call it a practice marriage because that was just a disaster. But anyway, she did my makeup the first night, first time I did it. I had a really bad cheap wig. Um, Bought some clothes, but I know what I looked like back then. And it's like, no. But still, I had realized how comfortable I was, how confident in myself I was. I would go out and I first started going out to a support group that I found in the area and going to the meetings. But I quickly got tired of it because I didn't need support. I was fully comfortable with who I was. And maybe not 100% comfortable. I mean, I was still exploring some things about myself, what I felt, but I had no guilt about it. The guilt part was gone. Like I said, they would break up into groups so they could all talk for their therapy. And I'd go downstairs because it was in a hotel, and I'd go to the restaurant bar and sit and have some drinks. I enjoyed that more than sitting around listening to people whine, especially those who were in relationships and their spouses and girlfriends didn't understand. And I can sympathize. I kind of got lucky in that spot. But then when I met my soon-to-be wife, I've told this story before. I'm just going to recap it. We started off as friends. And as a friend, she fully supported me. We would go out to restaurants, go out to eat, go to clubs in New York City. They had some great crossdresser clubs back then. And I go out and it's like nothing. I felt fine. I felt like me. But then when we started getting closer, our relationship got more serious, and I knew we were heading towards marriage. She never told me to stop, but I stopped anyway because she was throwing off a vibe. Now, maybe some therapists would say, well, you were projecting, possibly. But the vibe I was getting from her was she did not want it to be a part of the marriage. And I somehow convinced myself, okay, I got to dress for a while. And because I didn't feel guilt or overwhelming gender dysphoria, um, I put it away. I purged. And I convinced myself I had gotten it out of my system. And I was able to successfully do that 100% for almost 20 years, 19 years. We were married for 17, but I started giving it up before then. And because I knew she didn't want it. So I was again giving up something of myself to appease somebody else. And she would even ask me a few times and over the years, she'd say if I ever thought about doing it again. And I go, no, I'm over it. I'm an anomaly. I was able to balance out whatever was going on with me because my gender dysphoria was never crippling. It was just always there. I know some people get it so much worse. Um, so I was able to lie to myself, lie to her, lie to myself. And it wasn't until after she passed away when I was completely alone and I realized I had nobody to answer to anymore. My family lives across the country. My wife's family, I'm growing more distant with, which in a way is kind of fine because when I do come out, if they flip out on me or reject me, I'm just going to continue to go on with my life. But I don't have anybody, I never had kids. I'm in a very unique position that so many other people are not. People who have gender dysphoria and they either want to transition or they're cross-dressing, they have autogynephilia, and which I never did. I never did because this was never a sexual thing for me. So, but when I came back out, I mean, the floodgates opened. My gender dysphoria came fully to the front because I'd suppressed it for so long. It was like a nuclear explosion. And not only did I realize, oh my God, I'm trans, but I fully accepted in a very short period of time that I was going to transition and live my life as Melissa. But at least I did something that was good. I made myself wait because I was still dealing with grief after my wife passed. My emotions were kind of all over the place. And before I started to make any changes, drastic changes, I wanted to make sure that it wasn't just a rebound effect, like a slingshot going from one side to the other, and I still needed to balance things out. A part of me thought, well, maybe if I was just a part-time crossdresser and then I lived both worlds. But the longer I kept doing what I'm doing, I felt more comfortable that no, this is who I am. This is where I want to go. To the point where I'm taking these supplements that are having some changes to my body. And I figured if I really wasn't serious about it, or if I had any doubts, once things started to grow, I would have freaked the hell out, stopped immediately before anybody could really notice. I didn't. I still don't. Now they're very noticeable, even with wearing loose shirts. So, yeah, the cat's going to come out of the bag here sooner than later. But again, I'm constantly reevaluating where I'm going to be. I'm waiting for this move. I'm waiting to get out of this house, the last remnants of my former life. And I want to get more involved in our community. Now, granted, and I've said this before, I don't feel 100% comfortable in the quote unquote trans community the way it is today. I follow transsexual people, transgender people on Facebook and on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok. And I tend to gravitate towards those people who've done full transitions, lived their life the way they are, and they aren't into fetishes or the non-binary or gender fluid or all these other things that I have to admit I don't understand because it's not me. And I think there's a lot of confusion out there. I also think a lot of, and this is going to be ironic because so many people would call me mentally ill. Hell, my brother and his wife thinks we're all mentally ill. There are some people in the community, oh, hell yeah, I think they're mentally ill. Um, Creepy as hell. There's so, oh God, I don't even know how to articulate this, but there's a lot of craziness out there. People, if they live their life as long as they're not harming somebody else, that should be fine. Um, do I necessarily agree with their lifestyle? No, but then how many people are gonna agree with mine? I just think we all need to get along. And that's why I'll always be nice to other people. And even if some people are rude to me, I give them a chance. I stay nice until I reach a point where nice goes out the window. And not saying I'd ever do anything violent or whatever. I despise these people who film themselves out in the world, going into restaurants or stores, and they start filming right away and go up to a customer service person and knowing they're going to get misgendered, and then they can catch that on film and then they can throw a complete shit fit for attention. I'll never do that. If somebody's threatening me, I'll grab the camera, turn it on, point it at them, and say, "Do you mind repeating that?" Um, and at least I get their face in case I do have to talk to the police or anybody. Um, so this is where I am at this point. And I can't believe in one way it's only been a year since Melissa's been out, since I've been able to be me more of the time than not, soon to be absolutely full time. It's still only been a year. It makes me wonder, where am I going to be in 5 years, 10 years? And I'm not liking that age number, I'll tell you that. I'm going to try to stay as young as possible, mentally, spiritually, and out here for as long as I can. I don't want to be vain about my looks, but I also don't want to look like a little old lady when I get old. I want to still be able to live my life because I'm certainly not ready for retirement or that was one thing my wife always used to bug the crap out of me is talking about when we're old and feeble, and she had us in her mind in an old folks home changing each other's diapers or something like that, or losing our marbles. And I think it was because she saw her grandparents go through that and it ran through her family. Doesn't run through mine. There's longevity in my family. So, but I always hated that because I don't want to live that kind of life. Throw me off a bridge or something before I get that bad. I know some people can't help it. Hey, I couldn't help my heart attack and surgery a few months ago. But in a way, that was a blessing. it really was a blessing for me. It got me to get the major medical issue, which heart disease runs in my family. It brought it out and we were able to take care of it. I had my minor heart attack, which was minor, no heart damage. I had my bypass surgery, and they said, "You're good. Go out, live your life, no restrictions." And I feel great. I need to exercise a little bit more, but yeah, I just not having a job is interesting. I've worked all my life. The longest I was out of work before was back during the 2008 real estate mortgage crash. I was out of work for over a year. Well, right now I'm on almost 8 months of being out of work. Um, and I'm not really in a hurry to go back because I was really tired of the corporate world. And again, I'm entrepreneurial. I like to do some of my own things. It's just that I start thinking about medical insurance or whatnot for some of these surgeries unless I'm able to do things that bring in enough money that I can get things done on my own. And depending on what that is, I honestly don't know how far I'll take it. Two things that I want possibly is once I've been on HRT long enough, and the girls have developed enough. If they reach a point where they level out and I want something better, I might have top surgery. I would like some FFS. Although, other than my nose and chin, I got high cheekbones. Um, I got very, like I said, I got very lucky in a lot of areas. I have no Adam's apple. It's actually very, very small. I have to really press in to get it super tiny. Like I said, I have feminine features. So, I'm going to do very little. Now, I thought about bottom surgery. You know what? I am nowhere near that yet. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do because as of right now, as I mentioned before, I'm not attracted to guys. Women, when I see an attractive woman, there's the part of me that, I'm attracted to her, but also it's like, I wish I looked like her. Um, but I don't see myself in a relationship for the rest of my life. That's not saying somebody can't come along. Maybe the right person will come along that I'll click with, but I'm not looking for it. Not looking. I'm gonna enjoy my time off. I'm on sabbatical, and I'm just going to live and enjoy my life, and not put myself in a position where I'm living life for somebody else. Because if I ever do get in another relationship, I have work to do to make sure I'm not giving up too much of myself just to please somebody else. I don't want to attract that kind of person again. And I know that's why I had problems with all my prior relationships, no self esteem, and I was attracting people who were controlling and who I had to give up parts of myself for. Even my wife, when I loved her, I absolutely loved her. And we had a great relationship overall, but I still felt the need to give up. I'm rambling a little bit. This is a very long video. I haven't done one of these in a while. I'm going to try to do them as often as I can. But my main focus right now is moving and getting out of here and getting settled. Once that's done, I'm going to try to be back on more often and try to change up the format a little bit. In any case, I want to thank you all for watching. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons if you haven't done that. Share this channel with your friends. I try to mostly talk about my own experiences in the hopes that maybe it helps others who are going through similar situations, even if their situation is vastly different from mine, maybe there's some parallels there. And maybe that it might help them. I'm certainly not doing this out of ego. I just like to talk and connect with people. Like when I do my live videos on Kick, I love when we get the whole group in. We have people from all over the country and from other countries joining us. And it's so much fun. Yeah, I'm a social person now. I used to be an introvert. I was never a social person. Millie is a social person. So I'm going out tonight for the start of the holiday weekend. And we'll see what else happens this weekend. I'm certainly not sitting in this house, I'll tell you that. Okay, I'm going to wrap up and edit this video down a little bit so that it's tighter and not so boring. But you all have a wonderful weekend. I hope everyone has a great time, has good plans, and you all be good humans. And we'll catch you next time. Take care.